Hello there, Internet. I'd like to start off this critique of Call of Duty Ghosts by thanking the teams of Infinity Ward, Neversoft, and Raven for crediting Stephen Gaghan for the entire plot of this game, and to illustrate why I'm bothering to call out this Hollywood screenwriter, I will now read the premise that this game is built off of. Ahem. A man that goes by the name of Almagro, who is trying so hard to be a Nazi that he ends up being 10 times worse than Hitler, uses a military force from an unnamed source to take over the entirety of South America in the start of a global energy crisis when OPEC starts running out of oil, and then begins a massive military construction race. Afterwards, the Federation, Almagro's Nazi party, break their treaty with the somehow crippled America by taking over their space weapon Odin and beginning to fire on its country for a grand total of 20 minutes before it gets destroyed. In turn, South America destroys about 300 square miles of America, upon which they invade all of it simultaneously, beginning a decade of their annihilation campaign against this country, and despite South America hitting 0.02% of the country's military complex, the Federation was so rampantly psychopathic that America responded by walling up its important cities during the war. This premise is so illogical and insane that it can only be described as abortively abhorrent because this story takes place in a contemporary future that isn't distant enough from reality to be the universe next door. First, yes, South America has more oil capacity than America, but the story doesn't consider the rapid emergence of alternative energy in an energy crisis, so there would still be construction on either side. Second, the Federation had launched at most 30 missiles at America before Odin was destroyed, and it only targeted important cities like Cleveland and Atlanta, missing 90% of America's military bases at best, and 100% of its harbors, but also disregards its entire overseas military. For Christ's sakes, we have 3 bases in Germany that we aren't using. Third, this whole apocalyptic scenario that Gaghan has built is impossible because America isn't crippled and has the biggest military force still intact on the planet, and the Federation, being so obviously the revived Nazi party and engaged in continental takeover, will be constantly battling on the global stage and be suffering harsh trade blockades from other countries. Short history lesson, everybody. Hitler got away with stealing countries up until Poland because he had historical bullshit about them being previous German states. Almagro wouldn't get away with any of this shit, and I could go on and on listing reasons why there is absolutely no way in fuck that this narrative would ever exist. But I'm not going to. I'm just going to continue on talking about something else, because the only justification for Ghost's existence is its set pieces, because we definitely aren't here for the gameplay. But the tag team developers did play around with some new ideas, such as the skyscraper assault and introducing settings such as the underwater and space bits to have battles in, which was kind of fun, to be honest. Some of the locations and missions were that fun, even if the reason that they exist in the first place is dead on arrival. Also, the game's unique selling point being Riley the dog actually got used quite a lot by Call of Duty standards by amounting to 2 set pieces and a contextual attack button, because you always have to have goals in development, guys. The game would have fared better by a giant margin if they had scrapped the whole Federation thing, a villain written so insanely badly only because the team was trying to have threats and stakes out the ass without realizing that can't happen if we don't know who the villain is, because Almagro, the new Hitler, has a whole 20 seconds of screen time, and that's in a fucking flashback, for the love of God. If this game had just been concerning itself with taking out the ghost hunter Rourke, it would have been leaps and bounds above this crazy ass shit that Gaghan calls a narrative. However, I'll be the first to admit that I had some fun with Ghosts. The missions themselves, apart from any context, were interesting and did use QuickTime events to a decent degree, but it still adds up as a total game to being the pure definition of a terrible action movie. non-existent villains that are written unrealistically psychotically for absolutely no reason, a main character so one-dimensional that it seems like we're piloting around a video camera attached to a robotic endoskeleton, being humored by the other characters on fear of death, being threaded through a story where a huge war takes place for no reason and is so completely impossible that not even the voice actors can stomach the dumbass twists in this game.
Dad, this whole time you were one of them. You're a ghost.
Well, it just goes to show you that you shouldn't just bring celebrities on the development team just because they're celebrities. Victory for gamers, everyone.